In this chapter, we're going to look at the wardrobe for the Assurance and the process that we went through to design and create the wardrobe from scratch for the entire cast. Now, this ended up being one of my favorite parts of making the film. Our wardrobe person was my buddy Bitsy Rennie. We'll talk more about her in the next movie, but it's important to know that all of the successes in the wardrobe of the Assurance were because of her. Before I met with Bitsy to talk about the wardrobe, I did a little bit of my own research. I knew that Bitsy would know infinitely more about wardrobe than I did, so I wanted to be informed about what I liked and what I didn't like so I could contribute more to our conversations. Now, I went through my wardrobe closet and I found some pieces that were kind of similar to what I wanted. Most fantasy films have a definite European Renaissance medieval influence that we've been kind of talking about in this training series, and I really wanted to steer away from that. I wanted something that felt more unique. So I looked at Polynesian cultures because they were a big influence for the linguistic rules we talked about in the previous course on screenwriting. But traditional Polynesian wardrobe seemed a little too ornate to me, like the people were living off the land, but doing a really good job of it. So I wanted something that felt homemade, but by people who were desperate. So I also looked a little at biblical and Middle Eastern garb, as I wanted the style of the film to be more along those lines than the standard European Renaissance influence that's usually prevalent in most fantasy films. This was the piece that I had that most closely resembled what I was thinking of for Mark Holland. Now you can see how it influenced the final result, but also you can see how Bitsy took this idea and added to it to make something greater. This was the piece that I used for inspiration for Teani's wardrobe, but I didn't want it to be so pretty and elegant. Again, we can see how Bitsy took this idea and she made something more simple that fit better into our world. Incidentally, this inspiration piece also worked for the prettier shot of the world before everything got all messed up. So having something that felt a little more ornate and polished worked in that scene. Other than my wife Heather, Bitsy was probably the person that I had the best collaboration with on this entire project. In the next movie, we'll look a little more at our dynamic and how we were able to come up with better ideas by working together.